Good afternoon. C News is live at noon. I'm Mahalia Joseph.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed with sport.
President Anthony Carmona will address several matters with regard to the goings-on at the office of the President on Wednesday, 28 September at 1:30 p.m. He was expected to have made the statement today, Monday, but will now do so via a press conference at his office. Some of those matters will include expense overruns at his office in excess of $2 million, the makeup of his staff since March 2013, the process by which he receives a housing allowance, and even though he occupies state housing, and the smaller matter of a bottle of wine bearing the presidential seal. The original questions came from UE lecturer Rhoda Barrack. On Sunday, the NGO Fixing TNT released a statement demanding that the president answer questions about the makeup of his staff since March 2013 and to explain the cost overruns at his office. It's expected that some of these questions will be addressed by the president during his press conference on Wednesday. Political commentator Indira Sajuan Ali says the President of the Republic should lead the way and be an example of transparency. Speaking on CTV's Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago this morning, Ms. Sajuan Ali said large amounts of taxpayers' money are being used by his office.
And I really was hopeful that the President would have, instead of taking the time on our Republic Day to chastise the public for asking for transparency and accountability, to really say, listen, I will be, that is certainly what I will offer to you. And if not, to have presented it on that day, because I feel that the message on that day should have been different.
Mrs. Sajuan Ali also raised questions about the sparkling wine that bears the coat of arms and raised concerns about the timing.
Is it appropriate, for example, to use the presidential logo, the country's logo, on a bottle of wine? What really is the signal that his office is sending to young people?
Meanwhile, the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago has also hit out at the president. MAT said President Carmona was wrong to use his Republic Day message to deflect legitimate questions raised about the use of public funds. In a media release, MAT said President Carmona regretfully chose to smear the work of journalists seeking to hold public officials to account. MAT also said in Trinidad and Tobago, the president opted to attack the noble profession of journalism and its more irreverent online practitioners. It's day 4 since Ria Sukdio's been missing, and it would appear investigators have made some small headway into her abduction. On Sunday night, C News Live understands a man and a woman were held in connection with the kidnapping of the 34-year-old hairdresser. According to reports given to C News Live today, a third man also reported to be assisting officers in their investigations. C News Live is also attempting to ascertain whether a black SUV impounded by police is the one used in the abduction last Thursday. The mother of 2 young children was taken at gunpoint around 8:20 a.m. last week Thursday, moments after dropping off her 5- and 7-year-old children at the Picton Presbyterian School just outside San Fernando. Since then, there's been no word of a ransom demand or any clues as to her whereabouts. And investigating officers are said to have been interviewing parents daily as they dropped their children to the school since the abduction occurred at the peak time between 8 and 8:20 a.m. And the tragedy that has befallen the family of Ria Sukdio is the latest in a number of missing person cases that haven't been solved last year. Businesswoman Caroline Katwaru has been taken from her car by gunpoint, and since then there's been no word of her whereabouts. Her abduction almost a year and a quarter ago joins the list of 18-year-old student Nicole Jagan, 13-year-old schoolgirl Jade Peters, 62-year-old Costat lecturer Glenda Charles Harris, mass designer Kirby Mohammed, and Ashma Naimul. In a vile twist to Ms. Sukdio's case, there are reports that people have been prank calling the family and spreading false rumors since the hairdresser's disappearance. According to her husband, Frankie Rajkumar, police have been investigating several false leads on the whereabouts of the kidnapped mother of 2. While you're watching the C News Live report at 12 p.m. Remember, you can keep up to date all day, every day on our website at ctvtt.com. If this country is not compliant with the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, citizens of this country will pay more for goods and other transactions with the United States. Non-compliance with FACTA will not just affect businesses, but citizens who are conducting their own business, whether online or direct. Managing Director of Republic Bank, Nigel Batiste, explained as he spoke on CTV's GMTT this morning.
For all flows coming into Trinidad and Tobago, our correspondent banks will withhold 30% of the funds. We are talking for the man in the street of remittances, wires coming into them from their family abroad, payments for goods and services that they may have sold overseas. So you have a significant reduction in inflows, and that's actually a best case situation.
He said if this country was not compliant by the deadline date, Friday, September 30th, restrictions will not be in effect immediately, as an assessment is to begin on the non-compliant countries following the deadline.
The U.S. has given a very long leeway, and what they've indicated now is that all territories that have not brought their intergovernment agreements into force, and we will bring ours into force really with the passage of the bill, and have not brought their agreement into force, they will begin a reassessment. And that reassessment will take 2 months, 3 months. But following that reassessment, they will then decide whether people continue to be in compliance or are no longer in compliance.
A weather system is forming in the Atlantic. The potential tropical storm Matthew is said to be heading for the Caribbean. On the phone with us now is C News meteorologist Ian Wallace. Ian, what can you tell us about this new storm?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Well, I suppose the first thing is first, and that's that we should stay calm. It is basically to monitor the system as it moves quickly across the Atlantic. This system is set to develop, and as it does so, then obviously all interests within the Windward Islands and Caribbean will be monitoring this quite closely. The hurricane forecasters out in Miami are set to send the first reconnaissance flight on Tuesday afternoon into the system, which by then will be east of the Windward Islands. Obviously, the local meteorological services are the only ones who have the capacity to put the country onto a storm warning or storm watch or something of that sort. At this time, there's no storm watch warning or hurricane watch or warning out for Trinidad and Tobago. So again, it's a matter of staying calm and monitoring the situation. The last hurricane actually to hit the Windward Islands was Thomas, and this was back in October 2010, and Thomas was replaced by Tobias on the hurricane list for 2016. So at this time, it is a system that bears monitoring. It is something that obviously will be watched quite closely. It is set to be in the vicinity of the Windward Islands by the time we get to either late Tuesday evening or into Wednesday morning. So it's something that will be watched, and obviously we, just as CNews covered as Hurricane Thomas in 2010, we shall be doing the same thing with this system as it gets closer to the Windward Islands.
Well, thank you so much, Ian. And now here's a look at the weather forecast for today. This afternoon and tonight, Trinidad and Tobago and the southern windwards, mostly hot and sunny conditions are expected, despite a few cloudy patches developing towards the late afternoon with the showers at times in few areas. There is the slight risk of the heavy shower or thunder shower mainly along the western coastline of Trinidad. Tonight will be mostly clear and cool. For the remainder of the Lesser Antilles, cloudy periods are expected with light to moderate showers in varying localities and heavy showers or thunder showers in a few areas. Improvement is expected as the day progresses. Tonight will be mostly clear despite the odd shower in a few areas. Seas are slight with waves up to 1.4 meters in open waters. They are near calm in sheltered areas. Well, you're watching the C News Live report at noon. Now, there are reports of a British national may have drowned in Mayaro on Sunday. 71-year-old Paul Shackleton is reported to have died despite attempts to resuscitate him. Police said that Mr. Shackleton was in Mayaro with his wife, who is from Trinidad, and her relatives. The incident happened around 9:45 a.m. close to Haji Khan Avenue. And MPs for Lebre and Faizabad united on Sunday to support a fun walk and health fair organized by Rusilak United to promote health and wellness in the community.
The theme of the walk really, I would call it pathways to good health. Thinking your way to good health, walking your way to good health, and eating your way to good health.
Activities included an early morning Zumba session and then a fun walk around the area. The event saw the support of the MP for Lebre, Nicole Oliver.
The fun walk would have started at the Dow Village Junction, which is in the Faizabad constituency, and it ended at Rusilak, in Rusilak Recreation Grounds in Happy Hill, which is in the Lebre constituency. Okay. So this provided excellent opportunity for me to partner with my parliamentary colleague, the MP for Faizabad, as we walked along the route starting in his constituency coming into mine, so we could show the people along the route the power of unity, two parliamentarians working together to promote healthy living and healthy lifestyle.
And the MP for Faizabad, Dr. Lakra Mbodu.
I think it's very important that communities take the initiative. A lot of the issues surrounding the health of our citizens relates to what we call primary health care, meaning that we have to take some sort of responsibility for our own health.
Well, if I could tell you much about sports, I would, but here I have Nasira Mohammed, who is going to tell us what's happening in our sports card.
U.S. golfer Arnold Palmer, viewed as one of the greatest and most influential players in sports history, has died at the age of 87. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reported Palmer died at the UPMC Shadyside Hospital in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he was undergoing heart tests. During a long career, he won more than 90 tournaments worldwide, including 7 majors. The U.S. Golf Association recorded him as golf's greatest ambassador. As tributes flooded in from across the world of golf, Tiger Woods tweeted, "Thanks, Arnold, for your friendship, counsel, and a lot of laughs. Your philanthropy and humility are part of your legend."
Arnold Palmer was one of golf's greatest and most charismatic players. His rise to stardom in the late 1950s and 60s coincided with the advent of televised golf. And alongside his lifelong friend and rival Jack Nicklaus, Palmer brought golf into the forefront of the nation's sporting consciousness. His unique rapport with fans spawned Arnie's Army, a loyal legion of followers that spanned decades and generations.
When people say, well, treat other people as you'd like to be treated, they don't really think that. That's a nice thing to say. But, you know, I had it beaten into me that was the thing to do, and I have practiced that.
Arnold Palmer is pretty much the fellow who took golf to the middle classes and the blue-collar worker in America. It was considered a game for the elite for many, many decades, the high-class resorts on the East Coast and the private country clubs. And here came Arnold Palmer, the son of a greenkeeper from the mountains of Pennsylvania. And the way he walked, the way he hitched his pants, the way he smoked and flicked away the cigarette, it was compelling to women, it was compelling to men, and suddenly golf was a game for the masses, not just for the elite.
And on to news of football. Haiti crushed Cuba 5-0 on Sunday at the Hasty Crawford Stadium in the final of the Caribbean Cup Under-17 tournament to retain their title of champions of the Caribbean, which they won in 2014 against Jamaica. In the first period, the Cubans had opposed a nice resistance from the Haitians, conceding 1 goal by Steve Mondestin in the 35th minute. At halftime, the score was 1-0 for Haiti. But after the break, the Cuban resistance gave way to the determination of the Haitians and conceded 4 goals. Steve Celso in the 54th minute, Jacques Danley in the 63rd, Louis Don Cassius in the 78th, and Nael Elisis in the 90th 2 minutes overtime, in the second half. The final phase of the qualifiers are in Panama City in April-May of 2017, which is the final phase of qualification for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in India in 2017. And moving on to news of cricket now, the selection panel of the West Indies Cricket Board announced a 50-man squad for the upcoming test against Pakistan in the United Arab Emirates. The series will consist of 3 test matches. The opening match will be a day-night fixture at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium from Thursday, October 13th to Monday, October 17th. This will be the first time both teams play a test match under the lights using the pink ball. The full squad is as follows. Jason Holder retains his captaincy, Craig Brathwaite as vice-captain, Devendra Bishu, Jermaine Blackwood, Carlos Brathwaite, Darren Bravo, Ronston Chase, Miguel Cummins, Shane Dowrich, Shannon Gabriel, Shea Hope, Leon Johnson, Alzari Joseph, Marlon Samuels and Jamel Warrican. On to some sad news now. Jose Fernandez, a pitcher for the Miami Marlins baseball team, has died in a boat crash at the age of 24. The U.S. Coast Guard said Fernandez was one of 3 people killed in the crash on Sunday off Miami Beach in Florida. The club said it was devastated at the Marlins home game against the Atlanta Braves on Sunday, which was cancelled. Fernandez was born in Santa Clara in Cuba and defected to Florida when he was 16 after 3 failed attempts. He made his debut for the Marlins in 2013. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Chief Todd Garofalo said they found a boat that was up against the jetties. They did do an initial search and they found 3 victims, 2 on top of the water and 1 underneath the boat, and they had unfortunately all passed away. And that was your Sea Sports for today.
In some regional news now, just ahead of the reading of Trinidad and Tobago's 2016-2017 budget in Parliament on Friday, Standard & Poor's rating agency showed what happens when a government keeps borrowing to spend beyond its means. In a statement over the weekend, the New York-based S&P downgraded Barbados to B- from B. 6 notches down into junk or non-investment grade. Barbados has had consistently high current account deficits since 2011. In comparison to Trinidad and Tobago, the government is expected to more than double its CAD in fiscal 2016 versus 2015. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has promised to look into the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute before his term of office ends. Speaking at a meeting with Guyana President David Granger on Saturday, Mr. Ban said his assessment would most likely be delivered in November. President Granger has committed to providing the Secretary General with any additional information needed to complete the assessment. Former Commonwealth Secretary General Guyana-born Sir Sridath Ramphal and Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge also attended the meeting with other officials of Guyana's Foreign Ministry. Guyana has been trying to persuade the United Nations to recommend a judicial settlement on the long-standing dispute. In some international news now, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are preparing to go head-to-head in the first U.S. presidential debate on Monday. Debates are a chance for the public to put candidates under the microscope, with everyone watching carefully for mistakes and defining moments.
For the first time since the primaries, the candidates will be back on the debate stage, but now facing off against each other. It will be one of their last chances to alter the course race, which is very close. Presidential debates can brand candidates as winners or losers. Remember John F. Kennedy's breezy, youthful glamour against Richard Nixon's sweaty 5 o'clock shadow. Or Ronald Reagan's simple, good-natured style against Jimmy Carter's earnest recital of facts. With the shock value of reality TV star Donald Trump, you're fired. This time the presidential debate is on course to be the most watched in American history. Voters have seen Mr. Trump belittle his male opponents.
Quiet.
But that bullying style could backfire with a female candidate. He doesn't do so well with women. So far, though, he hasn't been holding back.
If Hillary Clinton were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote.
Affordable child care is playing the woman card, then deal is.
This is Hillary Clinton's comfort zone. She's an experienced, competitive debater, super prepared. She'll be trying to rattle Mr. Trump, get under his skin. He, on the other hand, much prefers 140 characters. But can he stay focused for 90 minutes of substantive questions? And will it even matter? Up till now, the two candidates have been judged by different standards.
I don't know what I said.
So could he win simply by doing nothing outrageous, while Mrs. Clinton would have to put in the most polished of performances to beat him? Millions of Americans will be tuning in to find out.
Russia has blasted the United States and the UK for using what Moscow termed unacceptable tone and rhetoric in speeches on Syria at the UN. On Sunday, U.S. Permanent Representative Samantha Power said Russian and Syrian forces were laying waste to besieged rebel-held areas of the city of Aleppo. A Kremlin spokesman warned that such language might damage efforts to end the 5-year civil war. Activists, meanwhile, reported dozens of fresh airstrikes on Aleppo overnight. Returning to a bit of local news now, Foreign Affairs Minister Dennis Moses says Trinidad and Tobago is committed to raising the living standard and welfare of all people in accordance with the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Minister Moses delivered a keynote address this morning at the 71st United Nations General Assembly in New York. Minister Moses noted that Trinidad and Tobago joined the globe in adopting the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. He said the government of Trinidad and Tobago is placing the 2030 agenda at the nucleus of its Vision 2030 development plan.
Trinidad and Tobago remains committed to raising the standard of living and welfare of all members of the national community, the enhancement of the educational system, improving the delivery of health care, and providing a higher level of accessibility and support to persons with disabilities. Further, it has been a long-standing position of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, which has enacted several laws, policies, and other measures to promote and strengthen the role of women and girls in society and their overall contribution to national development.
And that brings us to the end of the C News Report at noon. You can stay tuned for more news during the course of the day and for our C News Report at 7 tonight. C News, powered by a team of journalists and producers across the Republic and the region, on television, radio and online.
C News, your country, our job.